Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories came out over 20 years ago, and it's one of the most brutal games I've ever played. I've only just now beaten it for the very first time. This is a game I could never beat when I was younger, and I'm currently on a mission to revisit all the games I played as a kid, and I thought there's no better place to start than one that I couldn't beat, to at least prove I've gotten a little bit better at gaming. The game starts you off as Prince Atem, or better known as Yami. For people who don't know but have seen the show, he's basically the main character of the show when he's in his taller, spikier hair form. He's an old Egyptian pharaoh who possesses one of the Millennium Puzzles, which are basically magic artifacts and the main plot of the entire Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. And the game starts off with the character called Haishin and Kaiba breaking in to steal your puzzle while you're sleeping, which leads to like a full outbreak. Where in like your fourth battle, you have to fight Kaiba, who's pretty tough for this point in the game, but you can beat him. On the other hand, when you fight Haishin, he was something else. When you verse him, he summons monsters you can't physically get in the game, and there's no possible way to win. But you're not supposed to win, and the only way to progress from here is to actually lose this match, so I lost it quite convincingly. After that though, your buddy Simon convinces you to break your puzzle, which traps you inside it, waiting for someone in the present day to put it back together. Before we get into the rest of the run in the present day, I should give you a rundown on how this game even works. You have the classic Yu-Gi-Oh! System where you summon monsters that are low and weak, and then you sacrifice them to summon stronger ones. I'm sure at this point we've all seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Know how it works. You summon traps to protect your monsters, spells to upgrade them, you know, all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff that's normal. Well, this game does none of that. In this game you can just play one card per turn. It can be your best card if you have it. There's no sacrificing monsters, it's just strongest card equals win. And that's the basic formula of this game. Which sucks because the final boss, which there are 6 by the way, have cards that you can't actually get in the game without cheats, which makes it very hard to summon a stronger card. So how do you win, you ask? Well, there's also a fusion system in the game. Most cards can be fused, but there's only a few I worried about at the beginning of the game, and then only one actually matters at the end of the game. There's a lot of fusions to get the hang of, but a lot of them are pretty simple, and the one I used the most was like, you summon any beast with any fire type and you get the Flame Cerberus, which has a 2100 attack, which is pretty good for the early game. Another good one was any female card with a rock card gets you a nice creature, and then also any female card with a beast card gets you one. But like, it doesn't tell you which cards are female. You just have to look at the artwork and just assume. But then of course, the main fusions are all the dragon ones. Dragon fuses with rock, steel, or plant to make a strong monster that will take out most of the opponents in the early game. And then the plan at the end of the game is to have just rock, dragon, thunder, and just to make the twin-headed thunder dragon. 2800 attack monster who's not quite as strong as the ones the other people have, but he beats every other opponent except for the final bosses, and hopefully you can power him up to take on the final bosses. But the hardest part of the game is getting all those dragons and thunders. And how do you get them, you ask? Pure RNG madness. You see, every time you beat an opponent, you get a ranking depending on how you did. If you beat them really quickly and dominantly, you get a power ranking. If the game drags on and you beat them slowly and they do a lot of damage to you, you get a tech rating. The higher the power rating, usually the stronger cards you get, and the higher the tech rating, usually the better spells and traps you get. There is a few spells and traps I need, like Bright Castle, Beast Fangs, and Dragon Treasure, but I managed to get them while going for power rating, so in the end that saved a bit of time. But the drop rates in this game can be horrible. I think I versed Rex like 30 or 40 times just to try and get a couple dragons. And with the spells and trap cards, the Dragon Treasure, Bright Castle, and Beast Fangs all increase my Thunder Dragon by 500 attack points, which helps, but I still need other stuff to go with it, like Umi or Mountains, which increases all dragons or thunders by 500 points, and they're field spells. I'm not sure if trap cards are actually needed in the end of the final bosses because they only play strong cards anyway, but I did get a few Widespread Ruins, which just destroys any monster on the field, and a few acid trap holes for the early matches to make them a bit easier. But with that out of the way, let's get back into the story bit here. It skips you forward to the present day where a young boy Yugi, whose similar name and looks exactly the same as the guy you were playing before, so obviously you're him, he manages to solve the puzzle and use your power in the upcoming tournament they're having, which is quite convenient. And in the first match, we're up against Rex, who uses a lot of dinosaur monsters, and his strongest one I think he can get to is 1600 attack, but we got a good draw and got the Thunder Dragon, and basically from then on it's just a matter of time to the victory. Next up though was Weevil Underwood, best known for throwing Exodia off the ship. He managed to summon quite a strong monster, which I wasn't expecting at 1800 attack. And unfortunately, I just had no counter to it. I didn't draw my cards I wanted, so I lost. And now's a good time to point out that if you do lose a match here, that's your run done. It goes back to when you last saved it and you get game over. So you'll see later on why that's a very, very frustrating thing to happen. I decided to just take Weevil on again straight away because he doesn't usually summon cards that strong. And this time I built up quite a board. Then I used Raigeki, which is basically, it destroys all his monsters. And with the overwhelming power, I got the win this time, much easier than the first time. So with Weevil beaten, the next opponent is Mai. And she summons a lot of Harpy's Ladies and Harpy's Pet Dragon, which has been pretty strong, but in this match she had none of them. Instead she had stuff around 1200 attack, which I got a Flame Cerberus out, and again, he's just a beast. If you get him early, you're usually going to win the match. And I actually managed to get a decent card out of Mai. I got a Pale Beast, which is a 1500 attack beast monster, so... And the last opponent we take on before getting in more of the story is Bandit Keith, the well-known cheater of the Yu-Gi-Oh world. This time I summoned the Mystic Stand, which is any rock and any female character. And again, that overwhelmed him, 200 attack. These guys are all simple. It really lures you into a false sense of, I can do this, I can beat this game. Then you run into this guy Shadi, who basically tells you that in order to get back to your own world, the Pharaoh will need to collect all the other Millennium pieces from everyone else in the tournament, which, luckily enough, everyone in the tournament from here on in has one. That's pretty lucky. Including Shadi himself, which is actually one of the easier battles at this point in the game, so I whooped him good. I went and did a few more of the duels, got a few more puzzle pieces. They're all pretty simple from here on out, but then I ran into Pegasus. And Pegasus will often summon a Bakuri box, and that thing's got 2300 attack. The only thing I had that can beat that is my Thunder Dragon. And I didn't get to summon the Thunder Dragon in this match because I've only got one Dragon and one Thunder. So he beat me pretty good, pretty easily, and now's a better time. I better start grinding. So that's what I did for the next day or so. Grinded out some more Thunders and Dragons. And I went and grinded for hours and hours and hours so I could finally take on Pegasus again. And this time I had a lot more Thunders and Dragons in my deck, so I summoned the Thunder Dragon pretty much straight away. And he has nothing against it, so I beat Pegasus in the end quite comfortably once I had the Thunder Dragon, but it's just about getting the Thunder Dragon, of course. From there, the rest of the tournament's pretty straightforward. Kaiba's a bit of a struggle, but again, I summoned Thunder Dragon quite early, got it powered up and beat him, and Kaiba gives us the last piece of the puzzle we need so we can head back to our own time. And first thing we do when we get there is meet up with our Jono, and he challenges us to a duel, telling us today feels like his day. Well, it wasn't his day because Thunder Dragons exist, so I beat him and carried on. You meet up with this old guy in the cave who tells you basically everything you've done, you need to do again. I need to go back and collect all the puzzle pieces because this time Hashin's given them all out to everyone, so it's basically the same quest. This time you need to take on mages instead of former characters. And yeah, I've got the Thunder Dragon, I've got the equip, so this part was all a breeze. I'm just going to skip forward to the final 6. And they call these guys the final 6 because, well, there's 6 of them. But what makes them super brutal is they have cards stronger than Thunder Dragons. So you need to get the Thunder Dragon, and you need to get equips for it, and you need to get the terrain for it. They can see what trap cards you place down, so you can't really place down a trap card to destroy them because then they'll just have counters for it. And you need to beat them all in one go. If you lose to any of them at any point, you can't save, so you go back to the beginning, and you need to take on all 6 again. My first run, I thought I was doing real good. I got all the way up to Kaiba, who is the 3rd last opponent you take on, and he summoned a ultimate Blue Eyes White Dragon, which has 4,500 attack, and I think with every single one of my equips, I can get to 4,800, but there was no chance I was drawing everything, so this was a 3-turn loss for me. After that, I think I saw the loss screen way too many times for what I should be, but I didn't want to go grinding again because I knew I had the right stuff to win. I just needed to get lucky with the RNG, so I kept pushing through and pushing through and pushing through. And then finally I took out Kaiba because he didn't play his Ultimate Dragon. He played the Gate Guardian instead, who has a mere 3,750 attack, which I could beat. So beat Kaiba, and then you take on who I thought was the final boss. He says, if you beat me, I'll lead the world alone. And I thought, easy done. And it was an easy fight. I beat him, no worries. But then, as all final bosses do, he transforms to a scarier mode. This one's called Nightmare. Fitting name, by the way. And he says you have to battle him again. So he's also a goddamn liar, because I already beat this guy and I didn't want to do it again. And, well, the second time was a lot harder. I lost. And then eventually I had the perfect match against him, and I'm just gonna play the entire match here. So while you're enjoying this glorious victory at the end of the game, please like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one when I take on the next game from my childhood. Not quite sure what it's gonna be, but stick around. Could be Digimon, could be Dragon Ball, who knows. Anyway, enjoy the final fight.